second to find this video and pull it up. I'm going to be talking a little bit about past places, lost civilizations, and unlocking past knowledge. So give me a second. I'm going to be talking a little bit about Lemuria, so just give me a second to share this out and some people to find us, and I'll get started. I think it is important to understand that I'm just sharing my perspective when I do these videos, and so I only have a small piece of that puzzle. When it comes to some of these places, I have a very limited perception. I just have, you know, things that my soul has retained from some of these experiences. I definitely identify with being a Lemurian starseed. It's kind of a hard topic for me to even talk about going into these past places. So I'm always just sharing my perspective on this, but it's been a big part of my journey this life, coming back to this stuff, to having a spiritual awakening, and coming back to this stuff. I see fairies flying around too on camera. I saw that earlier. Okay, so I want to talk a little bit, and it's going to kind of go into Atlantis too, but this is a Lemurian video. I want to go a little bit into these past places. I want to talk about how Lemuria was a very heart chakra centered place. This was a place that was very spiritual and actually of a higher level of consciousness. It was a place where you would take care with your thoughts, because people were very telepathically tuned in and could hear each other's thoughts, as well as other things. It was a place of a group consciousness, and it's kind of what we're kind of getting back to. Now, Atlantis was much different. It was a place of the mind. It was more, you know, the third eye gateway, and people were more tuned into that chakra. It was a much different place. And it also rose in technology very fast. When it comes to these past places, it's really unclear. Like I said, I only have my perspective, but there was, you know, at least a couple Lemurias, and, you know, there was probably 3 Atlantises. I know that just from this life alone, you can see your soul tries to recreate the same experiences time and time again. And I think that's really explains what happened with these different civilizations and trying to recreate these utopias. Some might have regarded Lemuria as Eden and the place where it all started out on so many levels. A lot of people have this block from their past lives and past knowing. That makes sense to me now, because this isn't going to be something like this knowledge that you're seeking isn't going to be something that you're going to find watching YouTube videos and things like that. It's a soul knowing that you're trying to tune into. So, you know, I can always tell when the difference between people who have read a lot of books and are speaking from their heart chakra, heart center type of experiences. Those are the people that I'm drawn to, that are channeling their soul rather than, you know, the mind on a lot of levels. And that's really important, because in order to access this lost information, this lost knowledge, we're going to do that from our heart chakra. I know everyone thinks you're going to do it from your third eye, but it will be from that heart center that we come back to this knowing. Well, we see a lot of amnesia, and we have to understand that a lot of times the soul is complex, and to dig into your past lives and past places like this, you know, you need a good spiritual understanding, because there is darkness that came with this. There was the fall of humanity time and time again. Everything didn't always go good. You know, these were places that started out in oneness, but had a lot of destruction and things like that. And so, you know, you really had to be at a good place spiritually. A lot of people are very closed off from the heart chakra, and that's why they can't remember or can't tune into their soul or past life knowing. So if you really want to unlock this past life knowledge, you're going to do that by working on your heart chakra. It's only when you're in unconditional love and vibrating on same frequencies that we can tune into certain areas. There were amazing abilities back then with, like I said, telepathy and telekinesis, and this is what we're coming back to, because, you know, we're trying to get out of that duality. And I think of Atlantis, I think of duality. I just look at it like America, like what's left of it, right? So we're trying to get out of this duality and get back to that higher level of consciousness that is about the spiritual and about oneness. So this really was a place of that. In order to understand these places, you're probably going to need to understand that we reincarnate. I'm skipping steps, right? We reincarnate, that we've had many past life experiences. Many of them have been leading up to this life right now. Now, people will be looking for Atlantis and Lemuria probably forever, but, you know, I just really look at it like the evolution of our soul, a journey that we've gone through on a soul level. I believe in the law of one and that we're all interconnected. A lot of people won't believe that, but then I see a lot of empath posts from the groups that I am in, and I see a lot of people are feeling other people's feelings. That's because we're interconnected. We are one. You're one with every experience. That is how you're able to feel another person's emotions or feelings in the same type of experience. We always look at it like we're separate, but we are not. So this is a journey of the human soul. A lot of this knowledge and knowing is being unlocked and making its way back to the planet now after a very long time, because we see that there are a lot of souls here that would have had experiences in these past places or lost civilizations. And when we see this spiritual awakening that is occurring, it's bringing a lot of that knowledge and knowing to the surface. Okay, something that is blocking us from unlocking this past life knowledge or understanding is fear. It always has been our biggest obstacle, fear. This is something that we brought with us from these past places, and we see that it's still playing out on so many levels. That is what has been taking our memory. That is what has been blocking us on our path to divinity. So we see a lot of this life that we've been facing our unconscious fears. We've been facing our conscious fears again and again. I made a little list in case I didn't forget, right? I'm like, yes, I think I covered pretty much everything on my list, so I'll just go now. All right, so we have these past places. They might seem familiar to you. We see remnants of these places while some of these states of consciousness may have been destroyed. Like I said, that understanding of oneness and love and interconnection with source and, you know, these things with energy have been passed down and preserved. And with this spiritual awakening, it's kind of unlocking our DNA. So part of this process will be that you will come back to your past life understanding. And that's what people are striving to get back, that your soul would have had many, many lives and many, many experiences, and you would have learned and retained things from those experiences. And once you do this spiritual awakening and you unlock your chakra centers, hopefully that past life knowing and understanding will come back to you. This is a process, and you know, it takes certain levels of awareness and consciousness to be able to process this stuff. And so, you know, you are being unlocked as fast as your body, your physical vessel can really handle it. And like I said, a lot of tuning into that oneness is going to be done not on a third eye center kind of level. It's going to be done on a heart chakra frequency level, coming back to oneness, source, our interconnection, oneness with all. Hi. Alright, so we have a lot of this same information is flooding back. These were places that were very connected galactically to. I always describe these places the way I understand it as like galactic colonies, space colonies here on Earth, right? And, you know, I mean, India was very important in all of this too, because in between whatever happened many times, replaying out again and again. And when I look at Atlantis and it having occurred on several different timelines or having had several Atlantises, I just look at it like if you didn't pass your lesson and you get the same one again and again. And so people could have had different incarnations throughout these places. India is very pivotal in this. This would have been kind of like a home base for Atlantis when it was destroyed and recreated on a lot of levels. They have a lot of past knowledge kind of spread out through different places like that. We can see a lot of, you know, maybe Lemurian stuff was in frequencies were passed down and spread out by, I saw again this morning, by the Philippines and Hawaii. sinks, right? And other places in the world, Easter Island, and you can see the remnants have kind of, you know, been spread around throughout time. I'm reading this. Yes, fear is our obstacle. The people that lived in these places would have had fear of the dark. And I said this last week, but I'm going to say it again. You know, and there's debate as to what happened with these places. I am not a historian. I would love to know more on the subject, but that is not, you know, my recollection of it. This is more of a spiritual journey and experience. So this morning I'm like thinking about this while I'm like meditating in the bathtub. I like to download and think about my videos, and you know, I'm being encouraged to speak about my own journey. I am a Lemurian starseed as well. And part of my journey was, you know, delving into my past experiences so that I could understand myself on a soul level. I'm doing this mission and I need to know myself very well so I'm not continuing to get lost here. And part of that was coming back to these understandings. A lot of people will go into their past life Akashics and will see a lot of, you know, different experiences they had, or, you know, understanding that they got at a soul level. And for me, when I have been in my own Akashic, I get brought back to specific points in time that are relevant to me in my life now. So I have past life lessons that are kind of affecting me now and playing out now with where I'm at. So, you know, I've seen a lot of these past places in the Akashic as well as galactic places. I am a starseed and I did a lot of my lessons elsewhere galactically, things that I had to understand. So a lot of people that would identify with being a Lemurian starseed, Lemurian would have been a starseed and would have had past galactic experiences. These were places of very high levels of consciousness where the duality and the separation and the dark and the light and, you know, all of that did not exist. They were places of oneness where you could, you know, read each other's thoughts. It was of a group consciousness where instead of learning individually, you would have been, you know, learning as a collective. Oh, I'm loving it. I'm just sending good vibes, right? I had to get on here. Thank God it's Friday, right? Thank God it's Friday. We have a level wave coming in now. We have, and it's really good for your heart chakra. That's why I picked this topic today, because, you know, it's really about unlocking your heart chakra and your heart center. And we have an amazing energy that is hopefully helping us do that. We still have Chiron in retrograde, so this is pushing you to release baggage. I put a meme up and that was like, at the end of the day, let that shit go. And that's really what we need to do. Like, and I'm learning how to do that in 5D time. Just literally every day is a brand new day. Who cares if it happened yesterday? Let it go. It's not important anymore. Welcome to 5D. So, you know, we're not remembering this because, and I think it's interesting when I think about these topics because, you know, I've been sold on, we were made for slaves for the Anunnaki, and yeah, I could believe that, but, you know, that doesn't resonate with me, that, this is just my perspective, that we have a lot of our history that is around from certain countries and places, but suddenly when it comes to certain topics or countries or places, nothing. Right? Egypt, a lot of history wiped out. We have Atlantis, right? They don't want to talk about that. We have Lemuria, they don't want to talk about that. But they would love to show you Mesopotamia and Sumeria and show that we are slaves. Or they have a lot of, you know, the Middle Eastern type cultures with the Bible and talk about slavery and things like that. And so I'm just not really sure. I think that our history has been distorted and it goes back a lot farther than the Anunnaki coming and invading this planet or whatever happened on so many levels. But these are more places we're getting back to. The downfall, I said, with Atlantis was technology. And they're doing the same things now. I see they're cloning humans and animals again. That's what led to the fall of Atlantis, actually. So I think it's really interesting that's hitting the news this week that they're cloning animal people hybrids. I'm sure they've been doing that for a while, but it's just coming out in the open now. I know they've been doing that for a while with the militaries in different places. So But that's just coming out, and I think it's really interesting that that's actually what led to the fall of Atlantis. That would have been playing with DNA and doing a lot of the same kind of weird, freakish things that they're doing now. So I just think it's really interesting how it's playing out. That would have been the fall, you know, trying to change species, trying to change nature. And Lemuria was much different. This was a place where galactics would have, you know, lived there, galactic souls with one with the elemental realms. And I think that's what we're trying to get back to, you know, humanity and becoming one with the elemental realms on some level. That, you know, we had to get back to the basics and nature and things like that. Fun time to be alive. So, we talk about these places having sank. I'm trying to think what they say, right? Having sank, right? They say they sank. I am thinking that maybe that the water levels rose and that they went underwater, and that's happening now. That we can see that in Antarctica and other places that the weather's changing and warming up, and we have ice melting in certain areas. So I believe what happened would be more like the sea levels rose, and we can see that happening around America right now. I mean, if you were to look at some type of scientific research with what would happen with the projected ice melting in America, here we go. So it just seems kind of familiar, and there's reasons why they don't want us to know our real true history with these things and why these things are covered up and distorted. And, you know, that goes really hand in hand with an archonic agenda where they could wipe our memories and take our history and tell us whatever they wanted, and we would believe it. But the frequencies are going up on this planet, and all that mind control and weird stuff is wearing off. People are shaking off the chains and waking up and kind of coming to, and that's all part of this soul's drama, though. You know, why would we choose this as souls? Because we weren't learning fast enough in these places. That, you know, when you're of higher consciousness and you understand you're one with source and you're in this group consciousness kind of setting, you wouldn't learn as fast. We just got so much knowledge and information going through our pretending we're separate ego drama we just did this life, and you know, it's really brought us to a good place spiritually. So our soul did choose this. This is kind of the journey of the soul that we've been experiencing. I know, people want to play God. I'm seeing it all. It just seems kind of like, oh my God. You know, they talk about the DNA manipulation and things like that, and I'm like, oh my God. Oh, I'm trying to think if I forgot anything. So, first you must heal yourself to go into these areas. I found that was just my journey and myself. I'm pretty sure it probably works the same for everyone. That first I had to heal myself, but once you do heal yourself of whatever you went through this life, you're going to be delving into those past life areas, because it was a huge part of that too. And I do a lot of this type of Akashic and healing work, and I found that with myself and other people that have fears, and we have a lot of them we brought with us, they stem from past life experiences. And that is part of this, to, you know, learn how to overcome and create love again and unconditional love after going through these tragedies and catastrophes and lessons that we've had. We do have a lot of disclosure stuff happening, but I noticed they like to control the narrative. If I want to talk about the topic of aliens, my videos keep getting shut off. If I talk about 5G and other technology type things, my videos get shut off, and they want to control the narrative that's hitting the news in the script on any of this stuff, right? They want to control the narrative, so we do see kind of a disclosure occurring though, but on their level, I think it's too much that people are waking up and tuning into the truth themselves. And when we get back to higher levels of consciousness and spirituality, you know, we get brought back to the same questions about our history and humanity and things like that. And so I think that people are waking up and, you know, kind of remembering that we have galactic origins here. And I know everyone's playing Prison Planet, and this is the way everything works on this planet, but it's really not. That is the illusion, that the elite own the planet and can tell us what to do on so many levels, and that's what's kind of coming out right now. So, work on letting go of fear. That is what is blocking our past life knowing and memories, that we have this fear, and we need to get past that to a certain degree. They talk about that and just so much stuff with this fear, because you know you're creating it. And so, you know, we have to be really careful being brought up in frequency, because if you have fear, it can be dangerous to you. that if we have these abilities of the mind and they're coming back online and you're having fearful thoughts, you will create hell. You will create, again, hell and things you don't want and your worst nightmares and oh my God. So we really had to get past fear. It's a huge obstacle. A lot of people that did live in these past places brought that fear on so many levels. You can see that there is a karmic history between Lemurian and Atlantis. I believe that Atlantis may have wiped out the remnants of Lemuria and kind of paid off karma, and it would have all kind of linked together and things like that. But a lot of this was transcending that fear. We had this fear of the darkness, and hopefully just this life and cycle alone, we kind of delved into that and can understand human consciousness, that it's not all love and light. And we can transcend that duality, that separateness, this life. So I'm going to let you go on that note. I am going to be back Monday for videos in these class spaces. See the pinned post if you guys did not make the energy exchange on this class for the year. I'm going to be doing something different come January when it's a new year. And I'll probably be doing like all 4 class spaces for 1 fee or whatever. So check out the energy exchange. I'm going to be doing some more Lemurian activations. If you guys are interested in this topic, I do a couple Lemurian different types of Reiki classes too that are in our store that are really good.